Another week down, another week up, man. You know how it goes over here. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, old man? How you doing?
Great. How's everyone? And yourself?
Oh, thank you for asking. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. You would think
Well,
the
that's
you would think
good.
the older generation have some manners like they teach us to do.
Oh yeah, we do. We do.
Oh, okay.
And we're just shocked. We get shocked when we see young people with it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mean the
So I was in
generation?
I was in a moment
You
when
mean the
you
generation after us? But I
asked.
got it. Yeah,
That's
the
right.
generation after us. Oh man. Well, I hope you all enjoyed last week's podcast. It seems like we got a lot of good feedback from
Yes.
you all out there that watched it, and we appreciate it. And today it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
This is I think this ties into one kind of we did earlier.
Yes.
Uh,
I
the,
think it does kind of.
the dynamics of power, basically, where the breadwinner, essentially, breadwinner of the family, however you want to
Yeah.
look at it. Um, and I guess to start it off is at least in my generation, we don't have a problem with that. We're just like, hey, what? Okay, it's just if you want to be the breadwinner, I mean, that's fine. We
Right.
see it more as that I guess equal partnership in a sense. I think more people are actually working. Both parents are more working now than before. But don't get me wrong, I have seen a lot of women wanting to be stay at home moms still. Where I think that might be more prevalent in your generation, but it's trickled down a little bit to my generation. But I do see a lot more of both male and female working in the workforce, and it's not really a dynamic because they're both bringing in their own money to the pot per se. So I don't
Well,
know.
it's one pot supposedly, but yeah, yeah, right. But no. That dynamics is true. You know, you got both working parents, but when again to change the scope of the last podcast when we talked about that type of situation, this is saying how do men feel with women to be with have a problem with women with power.
Mm,
I, I don't think there's a issue per se. I mean that men have a problem with women with power,
mm,
but the I've noticed that women have an issue. Be, the problem comes because being in that position, they flex that power more so than a man in that same position.
mm,
Um, maybe it's the dynamics of being a woman and you're going to have to prove that, hey, I'm in this role. Um, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to flex my muscles.
mm.
I've noticed that, but all in all, men really don't have a problem with women being in power. I mean, in where I work, it's that dynamic as well. So it's not really an issue. It's just the use of it.
Right.
So how about in your
I,
realm of the young and
look, like I said,
inexperienced?
it's more so. I haven't really seen the power dynamic where the woman is has the power because majority of the time, like you stated earlier, both people are working, so there really isn't, I guess, a breadwinner or however you want to look at it as far as somebody being in power. It's like they're both not home. Nobody's really doing anything, whatever. Nobody wants to take that step back to be the stay at home mom or dad. I'm seeing more and more people not wanting to have kids and just wanting to live their lives then so I think that kind of hurts that woman being. I mean, but she could still be in power. I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. At least the people that I know wouldn't have an issue with it, or don't have an issue with it. The ones that do, they stay at home dads, or the ones that aren't, the potential breadwinners, or however you want to see it. I mean, there's so many different ways you could take that being in power, the being in power thing. And I'm just looking at it from a working standpoint. I guess the person working would be the one in power because they're bringing home the money. But if they're both working, so you can't really say that. I mean, I guess you could, but it's a lot harder to say which one's in power if they're both working and they have their own potential money. If an argument did come about in that sense,
Yeah, for me, I was talking corporate America
right?
with the power. The home, old school wise, I don't. It doesn't matter if the woman is making more
Mm,
or making less, or both parties are working. I still and you got to base it on dynamics.
right.
Uh, the man should be the head of it. And I know a lot of people probably gonna say no, no, but you think about it, it's physically, for the most part, most of the time they're physically stronger and things like that. They are expected to take charge, protect the home, and all that. So that power, that power doesn't work inside the home per se as a corporate. That wife can be a CEO or a manager of thousands of male, females, whoever. But when they come home, they're still a wife,
Mm,
and they're still under, and not like under in a like total submissive way, but she's she's accountable to her husband. So that you have to take off that hat. For me, this is my take on it. When you come into the home, salary has nothing to do with it. Um, if she makes more or she makes less, it doesn't matter. He should be the head of his house. He
mm,
should take control, be the protector, be the provider in any way. Because a lot of times, if childcare, if there's children involved, childcare costs. And if it's cheaper for one to stay home and the other to work, whoever makes that decision, it could be that she makes more money if he, it makes sense that he stays home and takes care of the kids instead of going to daycare.
right.
So but that doesn't diminish his role in the house.
Mm,
It's just, it's his role that he's playing in the development of his home, and he's still, in my mind, is still the head of the house.
okay. And I guess I misunderstood what you were saying about the corporate power. In my
Yeah.
experience, I haven't really had a young lady like empower, like, just for that experience. I haven't had to report to somebody that was a female in my working career that I can mostly think of. Maybe one time,
A
but
lot now. There's a lot more women in that role now.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, but yeah, I couldn't even comment on that. But I mean, it wouldn't be an issue anyway because I treat them just like I would treat anybody else.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do.
Um, and sometimes, and in the corporate side of it, it's for a man. Sometimes, um, their opinion or their advice can be taken the wrong way when you have a woman in power, because a lot of times they want to make sure that that they're they're in charge. So, but that's not everyone, but that can happen. That's
Right.
some of the things that do happen when you have a woman in that role.
Um.
And it can happen with men as well, but I'm just saying you see that they're gonna have to, um I guess, posture their position, or if they or they feel if they don't, they'll be run over.
Okay. So so I guess when it comes to I guess when it gets to the point of when you're in a potential relationship with a powerful
Mhm.
person, um, is there adjustments that need to be made, or is there him? I mean, I I can't really say because from looking on the outside in, the dynamics that I've seen, it doesn't look like there has been any adjustments made from each person because the young lady that may be empowered knows what she has in her significant other, and so she's not sitting there throwing it in his face and everything. Like she lets that man be a man, like lets him, to pay the bills, take care of the kids or whatever, like staying at home, whatever needs to be done. And so I think that I guess that would be the answer, is that just know what you have at the house, or what if you take that, if you decide to go that route, just know what you have. If it's somebody that you actually want to be with, like don't try to sit there and undermine or just cut them down or whatever, cut them down, whatever the case may be, whoever you're with. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of, it's really odd because I would have to be in the household to see it. But just going from my personal experiences, I've it was always me. I was usually the one deciding where to go and what to do, stuff like I provide the options, like, hey, what do you think about this? But 9 times out of 10, it falls back to whatever you want to do. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's big, but I mean, you have to realize that you can't just power is given.
mhm,
It's and if the husband, and like our last podcast, uh, if the husband wants to play that role and give her the power and make her the head of the house, then I mean that's a decision they made. Um, but typically, a standard house is the man's the head. It doesn't, and like I said again, it doesn't matter income or status at work or any other place. You know, I, you know, we got a we got a vice president, who's a female.
mhm,
So um, I, I don't know their family dynamic, but I'm pretty sure when she goes home, uh, she's not the vice president.
mhm,
She's the wife, and he is the head. It, in my scenario, he's the head of the house,
mhm,
even though she's the vice president of the United States. I believe once she goes home, she's just a wife
mhm,
or mother. If she have kids, but that 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 role is out the window.
mhm. So I think it just, at the end of the day, it just comes down to a conversation, because I don't really believe there would be an adjustment made, because if you're actually in it, then you would both work together to build for both of y'all at the end of the day. And I mean, isn't that the true end game? Like you're both building together, like you both built
That
together.
doesn't
So
it doesn't change that.
right. But I'm saying, but I mean, from what you, unless I missed, like I said, unless I misunderstood you, you were saying
Mhm.
when the women were in power, they get the ego trip, the power trip, whatever. Like, so if they bring in that home, and then
That become a
undermining,
problem.
yeah, undermining their significant other, whatever the case may be, then that's just like, well, why would you do that to your significant other if that's somebody you want to be with? Like there really shouldn't be an adjustment made. You can still be who you want to be if you want to be that role and power, whatever you want to call it, but just don't chase away what you have at home, because then you're just like, well, I I I messed it
It,
all up.
it, right, right, and that's why it's established that you know hey, you're in that position, you in that role at work or whatever, but you need to know your role at home as well,
Mm,
and that should be established. And everybody takes on that role that they agree upon or allow themselves to be under.
mm,
If the man, wants to be, guided, he can do that. That's a choice. Um, but it's just you got for me. I look at it as if that's the role a guy takes that role, not be the head of the house,
mm,
that power or allow the power to come into their home. I don't see that. I see that they're going to be a loss of respect there. Eventually, it's going to be a loss of respect from the woman
mm,
because I mean, you know, they want so everybody has a role, and everybody has a uniform, and everybody plays on a certain team. And for a woman, for the most part, what I believe is they want to be protected. They want that hero, that one that they can lean on. And if she has to take on the role of the one being leaned on all the time, I think she's not going to accept that for long. She'll
mm.
put up with it for a while, but it's not. It's going to be
But
it's
here,
going to be some
here,
emasculating things going
here,
on in the home. I promise
here's my thing though, and this is what I've
you.
always stood by, is that I understand, I understand wanting to do more and having more and everything like that. But with that comes more responsibilities. And so if you want to take on that role, this is just me from the outside. Like if I'm just out and about, I don't want to hear you complaining about all that stuff that you took on because you wanted to reign supreme in the home. I'm like, I don't want to hear about your problems if you decide to do that. It's like that. That's just. I'm
That
sorry.
sounds good,
That
but
just
you're going to hear it.
no. I'm just saying if it was my girlfriend, my wife, whatever, that's
Right, right,
fine.
right,
But I'm saying from other people, it's like
right,
if
right.
that's what you're dealing with, hey, you chose your fate.
That's right.
I
That's
don't
right.
want to hear
That's
it. I don't want to hear it. Um,
right. But
is-
you look at it like this. Okay, let's say um, the woman's body. You know,
mm,
um, uh, if you think she, has the right to decide what happens to her body.
mm,
Her body.
right. I mean,
And for me, once you're married,
mm,
that's different. But you go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't
no,
mean
I mean, I think I've had this conversation before, and at the end of the day, it's still her body. I understand you may be married and everything like that. I may be the outlier here in this situation, but
might be.
I might be the outlier in this situation. It's still her body, but if she was talking about making alterations or whatever, I would at least want to be depending on what it is. And I would at least want to I would at least would like to have a heads up or be talked to about it. Like for instance, like if it was an abortion or something like that, it was like, hey, we have a sit down about this. Now, if it was like I said, if we were married and she was like, I don't want to have the kid, then we sit down and talk about it. More than likely, I'm like, hey, you do what you do. It's gonna hurt a little bit, but I'm not gonna force that. I'm not gonna force that on you. Like if we're married or dating or whatever the case may be. Now for those that are outside of that dynamic, I mean, I'm not. Who am I to say? Who am I to say what you can and can't do? I mean, hey, you wanna give yourself the little snake tongue that I've seen people do. You can do that. You can, I'm like, I don't care. Do what you
I
want.
agree
Whatever
with
makes
that.
you happy.
Yeah. Um, yeah. you got to know where you stand. You know what's your role. If you're a boyfriend, you know, a friend, something like that, you hold no weight. You
Right.
know, only time it comes into play is when you're married, and you got to sit down, like you said, abortion. Now, for me, that it takes two people.
Mm,
Have to agree on that. If it's 50-50, then it doesn't happen. One wants one way, one wants another way. It's just because the thing is, both parties. It, you see, the thing is, you can't have 50-50 when it's convenient. You can't say we in this partnership and you want to call it a partnership,
mm,
and then when it comes down to something one particular person wants to do, now we're individuals. Oh, I got it right. I got 100% over here, and you have zero. You know, if we're 50-50 across the board on everything, then we fit. You know, so um, I think even now, if you want to have a vasectomy or whatever, you have, if you're married, you have to get permission from
mm,
the other partner.
mm.
Um, I mean, you could correct me out there, you know, leave a comment, you know, something about that if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure if you're married, and especially if you don't have any kids or anything like that, you have to get, you know, you both have to agree to that. You can't just do it on your own because you're accountable to that other person.
Mm,
Um, and that's part of that union. That's part of that marriage. So when when you're married, that decision, you don't have 100% control over your body as if when you're single.
mm.
And like you said, if you're out there, I can't tell you what to do. You know, I mean, we going together. You know, we dated, and I'm saying, no, you can't do that. You just laugh in my face. You know, it's just you don't have that right to
Right.
tell that person, you know, that they can or cannot do something. So
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. With that, with everything that's been going on, it's just really,
mhm.
really weird. Uh, really weird situation. as far
Right,
as
right,
far as
right,
that's
right.
concerned, it's just like, but, but why though? Um, and it's just I don't know. It's just really awkward. And like it's and to piggyback off of what you said, um, I'm not the one walking around for 9 months, 9 plus months, whatever the case may be. You know, I did I did my due diligence at the beginning. You doing all the legwork at that part, the onus would definitely fall more on her as far as what she wanted to do. Um,
But I'll make a disclaimer on that. Which you got to pay for it though. For longer than that, longer than 9 months. I promise you that.
that mean that's if that's if things don't work out or whatever the case may be. Whatever you decide to do
Right.
on that end.
But you understand what I'm
Yeah, oh
saying, you
yeah,
know.
one hundred
So
percent.
9 months to 18 to 20 years, you do
Right.
the math.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know. It's just a really awkward situation right now with that.
Abortion thing
But
going
yeah,
on. That's right.
it's
The
so awkward.
so yeah. So like abortion. I I think, you know, it can't be, you know, this etched in stone. This is it. You know, you can't have abortion. You know that I don't believe abortion should be used as birth control.
Right.
You know, but if you've been raped or something like that, I mean, you saying that, and my wife has been raped and got pregnant. I got to take care of that kid. I, are you serious? You know, I'm obligated. So, and it's just it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I, I just think more thought need to be put into this topic, and get input from how many sides you need to get it from. But
Mhm.
it just can't be a unilateral decision at at just on abortion. And I get it. It's not a good thing. It's not in any case. It's a life.
Right.
It's a life. But man, it's some factors there that got to be considered. The mother's life depend. The her life or the life of the child. There's a especially with science today. It's a just you see stuff beforehand. You can see stuff with the fetus, the cell, replication. You can see issues there, and you know the kid has a serious defect that it's not going to be good for him. He or she.
Or
What kind of life that? Why?
yeah, a defect that doesn't give them a full lifespan or something like that.
That's
It's just
right.
like,
That's
yeah.
right. So it's those factors all got to be considered before you just say, hey, your abortion, no. Yeah. So that's my take on it. I mean,
Man, but yeah, but I've had that conversation numerous times
yeah, it's
with some of the homies, and then
mhm,
just people I may not know, but just through other people, and then we talk about just stuff like that.
mhm,
But as to circle back to the power dynamic,
mhm,
since that this is kind of all under that same umbrella, uh,
right.
would there be, as far as power male, power female, can they
Mhm,
be together? Can they make a relationship? Like, I I mean, it seems like if that's the case, nobody's going to be around to do it. It seems like it's one of those movies where both people are rich and they're working, and if they have a kid, the kid's neglected because they're both working so much and they're taking care of everything else,
right.
or they're too busy to enjoy each other's company, and it's just like, then
Mhm,
what's the point of you both being together? I've just seen those examples. I may be wrong with
right.
looking at it like that, but that's what I think about when I look at the
Power.
powerful man and woman both being in a relationship. Is just like, well, I mean, if you talk about corporate, they're both more than likely higher up and having
Right.
somebody
Right.
reporting to them. So I just look at it like that. You come home to an empty house because she might be on a business trip, or she comes home and you're not there. It just, I don't know. I don't think it would work out too well. Some people make it work, but just me.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. It just feels.
Yeah, I would see the difficulty in trying to keep a relationship in that situation. Um, Usually, yeah, yeah, it's a tough one, because I know this I mean, from the people I've met and see go to corporate, they're attached to their phone. They're attached. They're always got stuff going on. They get calls, meetings, travel, all that. So, and if you got two people doing that in two different firms or two different occupations, man, so that I'm gonna say something that a lot of people probably gonna disagree with, but I'm gonna say it anyway. That's why it's good for one or the man to be out there taking on that role to get the wife, in the home to raise his family. How much is enough? And the thing is, what's happening now in society is you you putting yourself. you get yourselves to you're working towards what you working towards something, but you hadn't set the limit to say what is enough.
Mm-hmm.
So if if you're working towards something, and then you say, okay, I'm married, we're ambitious, we're going, but once we get here, you drop off, support me on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you don't have to worry about that situation, that type of situation you're talking about. But the thing is, you get more, you want more.
Right. That
You
corporate
start living a
greed.
lifestyle. That's
That
right.
corporate greed.
Right. You start living that lifestyle, then you get so far in it that you can't get out of it because your cost of living is so high that you do need both.
Right. Or
And
you have to
then
keep working to support your family, and then it's just like, oh, well, I'm trying to do this to support y'all, and then that whole thing. It was like, you could have stopped
right.
so long ago, and it's just
That's right. Why should I stop? You should have stopped. No. So, but no, but that's those things you have to discuss. What is enough. What is enough. And set those limits. I'm not saying that the other person can't work. The wife couldn't work, but maybe she just can't take a management role. She might have to step down where she could just do 9 to 5. Once she gets off work, she leaves it there.
mm,
And the other one carries on. And I put that on the man because I'm old school and I believe the man should take on that role.
right. Or with this generation now, find a side hustle, like make your own little business. I've seen plenty of like stay-at-home moms making like the designer mugs and
That's
the
right.
embroidery and stuff like that. Just making nice little side hustle. Like, those things are open to you. Well, they're options now going forward, and there'll probably be more
Right.
stuff by the time I get to 102. But that's neat.
So that, yeah, but I do see that it has probably happened more than once. That those a lot of times those stories are from real life.
Right.
Things you see on TV are based on real life events. But yeah, but if you set that, you know, you said you just gotta know what is enough. Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people are going to look at it like that to know when it's enough,
No.
because with everything constantly changing, you're not going to be able to predict the future. So you want to have more than enough. So that way, if anything does happen, you're not sitting here scrambling. At least that's just how I'm looking at it
So
from
what?
that.
So what does a divorce look like?
What does the divorce look
So,
like? The
see,
divorce.
that's where it's going to end up. That's where you're going to end
But
up.
look, this go back to the other podcast we talked about. Divorce looks like what you talked about before you got married. If you sign those papers,
That's
you
right.
decide to sign those
So,
papers. That's what it looks like. He was here writing. You go. I keep mine. You get the house. I keep my job. Whatever the case may be, whatever you decided to write up.
that's
Uh,
right. So, but yeah,
but it's just it's interesting. However,
Mhm.
it's changing. Like I said, I haven't had an experience of reporting to a young woman in power. All everybody that I've ever reported to has been a man. So
right, right.
I've never really had any jealousy or push aside or anything like that. And I think there's some, I would say more so, y'all.
Mhm. I'm listening. I'm listening.
that
What? What? What?
that that
My ears perked up when you said what? What? What's this?
I feel like you're being pushed aside because the women are taking it up. I'm like, hey, I'm here for it. I'm just like, okay. Like I said earlier, don't come complaining to me when you get what you wanted. You got what you asked for. Don't come complaining to me. That's how I look at it.
Well, it's kind of like let's say, um, well, same situation. You got powerful men and women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you both there, and it kind of like what we were talking about in the home. You know, you got two people, so somebody has to take the lead. You know, my thing is always the man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm gonna say something.
This is the say something.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So you
I'm
get
gonna
in
say
trouble
something
podcast.
that
Here we
people
go.
gotta
Oh,
think about it. People, the male species is the stronger species. Even in the animal kingdom, it's the male, and but the female is needed. I mean, is just as important, but the strength wise is the male.
mm,
Supposedly, there's anomalies out there that women. But the thing is that role out. Two powerful people in the same home. I will always go to the man because I know when push comes to shove, that man gonna have to step up in some capacity. That because the woman can't physically or is able to do so, and I don't see that changing in any other way, reversing in any other way when the female other than birth, having childbirth. That's a man can have a kid, but other than that, I don't see where the man will be in a situation where he would need the wife to be a man to play the manly role
mm-hmm.
in a situation that he would need from her. But I definitely know that he would need to step up in case of anything in the home. Just like an intruder. Yeah, I'm not saying some women can't defend themselves, but if it's a man in the house, the man's going to try to protect his home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not trying to be but let the man do his role and the woman play her role. They both have power. It's a king and a queen. They're both royalty. They're both of high esteem, but there's only one king and there's one queen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my take on it. I know other people. It's no room for two kings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you're right. Like, and the way I look at it, I go into Batman mode. I always have a contingency,
Right,
just so it's just like, okay, you want to take the role, that's fine.
right,
And don't get me
right,
wrong, if it's a girlfriend, wife, this is totally
right,
different. But I'm talking about just in
right, right,
general. If I'm reporting to
right,
somebody, like if I may have been
right.
here longer at a job, and then they come
Mm-hmm.
in acting like they know what they're talking about, okay, I got like 3 contingencies lined up. Like, so as soon as something goes down, and be like, oh, so you didn't want to listen to me when I tried to just not tell you what to do, but just provide some insight. Okay, just
Right,
so
right,
I'm gonna take down that contingency and go do what I need to do to make sure I'm good. So
right.
so I don't want to. That's what I mean when I say you get what you deserve. If that's what you want all the smoke, as they say, you want all the smoke, then you can't complain when you get the smoke. So uh, that's
That's right.
just it is what it is. And people like, oh, you're so mean. And I'm like, no, I'm not being mean. That's how life works. That is how
That's right.
life works. You can't sit there and tippy toe around it. It's like, if you want the smoke, you're gonna get the smoke, and I'm gonna sit here and just look at you. And when you have the little oh, I messed up look on your face, you're looking at me, and I'm just sitting here, I already had my contingencies. I'm good. I'm chilling.
So no. I mean, that's a way to handle it, and everybody handles it differently. But like you said, you if you want to step out there on that ledge, hey, that's on you. I mean, if you don't want to listen or just at least um take time to like say listen to the advice or opinion of someone else, and you want to just go based on just what you know, that's fine. I mean, that's a chance you take. And like you said, sink or swim. It's up to you. But
And
you can't cry. Can't come back crying to somebody and say,
because as far as I
"Hey,
was told, put some dirt on it, you'll be fine. That's exactly
stop
that's
crying,
exactly
stop crying,
that's exactly what you're
stop
gonna get from
crying."
me. Put some dirt
That's
on it,
right.
you'll be fine.
That's right. That's right.
and I guess that just goes into another point about men being pushed aside. But would there be? I don't think, at least in my perspective, my opinion, our generation, I don't believe there's any jealousy there because with how much is changing in our generation, I don't think people are going back to the societal norms that were there previously by your generation. So there's not a lot of room for jealousy. Maybe some um men not being seen as men, but I think that's more so men clowning on each other when they talk about, oh, I stay at home with the kids or something like that. I don't think there's a lot of jealousy in that power dynamic because I know people. I know we joke. I know us guys joke around like, I'll be a stay at home dad, just drinking. Hey, Kevin Hart said it. Better not be playing. Just listening. Just you're not really watching the kids. You just listening. Better not be playing in the toilet. Talk about, oh yeah, we be a stay at home dad.
I can see that. Right, right. But no, I agree with you. I don't think it's jealousy. Even in my generation, I don't think it's jealousy about women having or power. Um, I, I have to go back, with the power thing. When I first thought about this topic, um, I thought about the term that I've heard a lot of, not a lot of, but women say about this. I'm strong, a strong woman. You can't, they can't, men can't deal with a strong woman, you know. And so, I do you think that relates to the power or the jealousy side of it,
Um,
or is this something totally different? But that's what my mind ran across
mhm.
when I was thinking about this topic.
I don't think we would get jealous of a woman being like, I'm strong, independent, everything like that. It may get tiring at times when you're trying to get to know like someone in the dating scene and they're always throwing that in your face. You're just like, okay, well, whatever.
So you do hear that. You do
Oh
hear
yeah,
that a lot. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
And,
I,
and do you think this is part of that power thing as well, or is this something totally different?
I think
Because my mind ran across that for some reason.
I think it's more along. It has some. I think it's some caveat of it. A part of it is from that, but I just
Mhm.
think it's more. I guess yeah, it would be then because I was about to say I was about to
Mhm.
say it's women being in appointed more um roles that are normally for males, but yeah, I
Mhm.
guess that would I guess that would play into that. So, but I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's any jealousy from it. Just it may get tiring when you're trying to talk to someone in the dating scene and they're always throwing that, in your face or whatever. Um or you're looking like on Instagram, Twitter, you seeing it, but then you're wondering why they're 35, single, no kids. They complain about there's no good men. It's like
Mhm.
you kind of did it to yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, and see, that's when my mind kind of, you see it more so on social media and all that stuff, and that term used, and even like you said in the dating. Um, for me, when that hit me, when I thought about the topic and that power and women in power, I was like, what are we doing here? I said a lot of times, when I've heard about being strong women and all this stuff, and men are taken back by the fact that you know they're strong women now or anything like that. I look at what makes you strong.
Mm.
Yeah, and people who I consider strong women don't say they are.
Right.
They are.
Right.
They don't have
But
to say
and that's been the try thing. You should be worried about more. What was it? I think you should be worried more about what a person doesn't say than he does, or something like that.
it.
I
That's
think
right,
that's the
right.
saying. So I like I said, when I see that stuff on like Instagram, Twitter, I'm just like, okay.
And then I make reference to a lot of times, kind of like what you're saying, they're single. Uh, I think that's an excuse for being single,
Mm,
using that as an excuse for being single. Because when I look at a woman and talking about strength, I'm talking about going through some things. Let's look at the women in slavery,
mm,
the wives in slavery, what they had to endure and put up with, kids being taken away from them, raped, and husbands, emasculated, and treated in horrible conditions. They're being treated, and then they still had to keep a home. They still had to stand strong. They stood by their man, their husband, you know, even during all that. And, and it didn't complain, like in a sense of saying, oh, it's his fault that we're in this situation, or looking at him in a derogatory way to say that you're not protecting me. You,
right.
you you know that's where I see strength. They their strength has gotten us to where we are today.
Mm,
You know, but for someone today to say that they're strong, why are you strong? What what puts you? What gives you the right to even say that? What have you been through? What have you gone through? I'm not saying that people don't go, but like I said, usually the people who are strong don't say it,
mm,
don't have to say it. They live it. They go through it, and that's when I look at strength. And talking about women of strength. That's where I see that.
mm.
That comes with that type of situation, not just because you you know you date a guy, the guy don't want to talk to you next.
Mm.
Because you just your personality
Right.
is you're just not a
Your personality may
nice
be
person to be
trash.
around.
Yeah,
That's right.
maybe trash.
That's
Like,
right. So
and
uh,
if you can't realize that or have a good enough friend to tell you that, then there's a problem. Uh,
you're too
but
strong.
that may be the case. That may be the case. But
Strong.
it's
Yeah.
just really like, there's no jealousy whatsoever.
No.
You want to go around beating your chest talking about you're strong, independent woman. By all means, sing it to the cows come home.
Right.
However, once again, this goes back to what I said earlier. Don't come complaining to me about you don't get X, Y, and Z, or there's no good man, women, whatever the case may be. Nope, nope,
No.
no, no. You get
No,
what you
because somebody else is finding them.
exactly
Somebody else is finding them. You not finding them. So
right.
hey,
You get what you deserve.
That's right. Look in the mirror. You gotta look at the mirror first. Don't. So no, absolutely. There's no jealousy. There's no jealousy. And it in being into and see the independence. Um, independence is it wasn't designed to be independent.
Mm,
I mean, since Adam and Eve, it wasn't designed for people to be alone or independent. And with society today, it's kind of embraced in the
mm,
sense of the independency and it's taught in the youth, especially for women. Um, mothers, hey, don't rely on no man, get it yourself. And and with that being said, it, it's almost ingrained in them to the point where they don't know how to, you know, they don't know how to take on the role of or even delinquishing the power of that independency.
mm,
And that's because you think about it, most women, they either got, masters, doctor, they're getting their education because they're indoctrinated to do that at a young age.
mm.
Um, the males not as much. So that's a power shift in itself. It's not jealousy, it's just a power shift that if it's and you can see the changes in society today that's the effect of it.
And I guess when I hear independent, and this may be for, some other, I know there's definitely for some others that I hang out with,
Mhm.
but when we hear independent, we think of doesn't have to rely on me for everything. Like she can make her own decisions. However, when there's like a big decision that needs to be made, we make it as a team. That's what I think about when I think of independence. Like for instance, if there's something that needs to be bought, she doesn't have to, oh hey, can I get, just do it. It's like just do it. Like just
Right.
I don't need you to call me and ask me for something that's $25 or something like that. Now I understand if there's a
Oh,
budget.
when does she?
If
Okay,
there's a budget,
okay,
if there's a budget. Now if it's over like $100 or whatever your household income is, whatever
that's
you
right.
set it at, then a certain percentage, then yeah, of course you have that conversation. But typically, I think males in our generation are more appreciative of the women that can don't have to rely on us to make every single decision. But as
Right.
far as like what to do, what to buy, and all that other, it of course it's very nuanced. But overall, if you understand what I'm saying, uh,
Right.
it's just I think that's what that being them being brought up like that has impacted us as far as my generation because we're not having to sit there and make every single decision from waking up, going to work,
Right.
coming home. There's things
That's
that are
right. That's right.
already taken care of, and just peace of mind. Peace of mind. There's not a fire when you walk. Like I don't know if you've seen
Right.
Parks and Rec where he walks in with the pizzas and everything's on
Mm-mm.
fire. Everything's on fire. But yeah. Mm,
No. I get that. And like you said, that's the understanding you have in the beginning. Like, hey, if it's a big ticket item, um, that's now, certain things I do want you to run by me. I don't care if it's big or small. I mean, it's just certain things I would want. But like you said, that's a conversation and that's a discussion that you got to have. You set those parameters, and there's always something new that comes up, but you have the basics down.
mm,
Um, but no, that when I see independence as differently than the way you see it.
mm,
Not just like they're saying that, oh, you your money. It's your money, my money type. That's independent to me. And
Mm.
you're in the same house. You know, that's
And
that.
what's the point of being it? See, and this is just me, but I'm like, then
Yeah,
what's the point of
yeah,
being in the same house if you're
that's
money?
right.
Then okay, so
Right, right,
it's
right. So what are we doing?
right.
So it's so that's where the independence gets out of hand, where or you get to the point where you feel you don't need a man.
Mm.
You know, a woman says, I don't need a man.
That
You
is
know,
how we say cap, but that's neither here nor that's neither.
but
Eh,
you understand what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes, yes.
It gets to an extreme where that I mean, where does it stop?
Mhm. I don't know if it does, and I don't know if it's gonna. It might get worse in the future. I don't know.
There's always room. There's always room. There's
Yeah,
always room.
it's about 10% left in the tank. You know, they
Yeah,
just gotta fill
yeah.
it.
There's always room. So
But but I guess if you do become jealous, how would you? What would you do? What would you go about it? I mean, I just think it comes down to a conversation. Even though if you're
jealous about
jealous
what?
about the woman being in power, but I'm just like, if that's the case, then why are you with her? Like, if you're a jealous type, then what? I understand you, whatever the case may be, whatever relationship you're going through. But if you're the jealous type, then why are you doing that to yourself? Like, that is a mental. That is just you're like balancing on a balancing ball at that point. When you do jealousy, it just takes one kick and you fall over. So it's just like, why are you doing that to yourself? Or I don't know, go see a therapist or something. I don't know, whatever you got to do. But it's just like, why? It's like,
No,
but why
I,
though?
I, yeah, I'm gonna use what you say. You get what you get. You took on that role.
Right,
You allowed her, and I'm not saying allow her, give her. What I'm saying is, you put her in that position. You get what you get.
right,
So you can't complain about it. Like you said, just like you said. Hey,
exactly.
it's no jealous. That be jealous about you.
Just don't
You
put him in the
contributed
minivan.
to it. That's right.
Just don't put him in the minivan. Give him an SUV. That's all I'm saying. If you go ride in the power seat, give that man the SUV. Don't put him in the minivan.
But it's basically what you said. Hey, if you take on that role, don't come crying to me. I mean, that's what you got,
Right,
and and believe me, a taste of power is hard to pull it back.
right.
You know,
I mean,
once you give it to them, they might not want to
hasn't that been shown in
relinquish.
like a lot of movies and stuff?
That's
Where
right.
you get the taste of power.
That's right.
It's like we have prime examples of that stuff, but
That's right. They don't want to relinquish, that control or that role. So
right,
be careful.
yeah, yeah. I just like I said, I just don't know why you would. Maybe it's just
I don't
me.
think it's jealousy. I think it's just, oh man, I made a mistake.
That may be the case. That he didn't know what he got himself into. He
That's
didn't know
right.
what he was. He's like, oh, I mean, mistakes were made.
It's calculation.
You tried to pull your parachute string and there was no chute that came out. So now you're just
That's
free
right.
falling. You're free
Free
falling.
fall. And where you land is where you land. You
Right.
know.
All right. But
So,
yeah, I mean but yeah, the whole power thing, like you said, we looked at it from different angles.
mhm.
It's just really interesting. Because I think our generation is more so, because there's more avenues to make money and everything like that. There it's not your typical 9 to 5 anymore. So I think my generation is a lot more accepting of that power shift compared to maybe some people in your generation where everything has been the societal norm. You know,
That's right.
for
Yeah. And I think that, and it shows in society too.
Mm,
I mean, you see what's going on, you know.
mm,
So um, the the men are not like they used to be.
mm,
You know, they're they're different.
mm,
They're different, and it's showing itself. I mean, you know, crime and everything else is going on, and it's and you know, I mean, it's been going on ever since, the end of slavery. And because before slavery, everybody was married, even though they were slaves, they're still married. Now, well, marriage is it's not even looked upon in the same way.
mm,
Um, the if you don't if you uh, people get divorced because they're tired of that person,
mm,
like you know, uh, it's just something unheard of, back in the day. So everything's different now, and based on just like I said, the dynamics. This is what this is what it's come to. So the old school is keeping it together strong as the best we can to keep y'all guys. but 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 we're not going to be here forever.
right.
Yeah. So I'm trying to pass on this knowledge so that maybe there's some hope for the
Mm,
future.
mm, mm,
And, you know, and I just got to say, what's wrong with a woman and a man playing, a man, the head of the house, a woman, a helpmate, they working together to build a house. What what is so wrong with that? What is so taboo with that? That it's like it's not something people want to do anymore. It's not something people want to work through issues. It's not like you're gonna find anything else. Everything you do, you have to work at.
mm,
Nothing is gonna come easy. Your body, it's your body until you're married, and then it's somebody else. You have to share that body with somebody else. You can't make a unilateral decision about your body when you're married. Even the male can't. So I, it's not hard, but I just I don't understand what's taboo with the role.
mm,
You know, it just there's no jealousy. There's no issue with power. It's it's just a mindset. It's you know if you if the woman's the if the woman's decided to be the head of the house,
mm,
she has the power. In your words, if that's the case, you can't complain if the power could be a good leader. She could be a great leader, but if she's a bad leader, I mean, you get the reward and you get the spoils. Whatever one you get, that's what you got.
mm,
It's 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 nothing else you can say about that. But if you're outside of that, if you're not married, if you're not in, hey, you could be power. You could be strong. You could be powerful in your own little kingdom. I have nothing to do with that. Just don't think that you go be ruler over me, over in my kingdom as well, because there's only one king over here. So what I'm saying is, if you by yourself, you could be king, queen, whatever you want to be. But when you're together, somebody has to take the role. And whoever takes the role, if the man wants to step down from his position, then he get what he gets. if the woman gets, looks at the man a certain way because he stepped down, well, this shouldn't have even been a conversation. If you want him to be there, let him be there.
Right.
Let him be there, but not let him be there. No, hey, he should know what he need to do. Pick that leader, and that's basically it. Your body's your body if you're by yourself. Your body's not totally your body when you're married.
Right. And I mean, yeah. I mean that's pretty much it. Now, don't get me wrong, it changes, of course, if you decide not to have kids. And that just, I mean, that kind of takes that step back to before you got married, in a sense. But it still has some. Of course, there's still some things that if you're planning on doing, you should run it by your significant other, obviously.
That's
but
right.
but yeah, and of course the kids thing, that's obvious. But if you decide from the get-go when you're together that you're not going to have kids, then it's just like, hey, you do whatever you want to do, just make sure it's not something that's gonna that I'm gonna come home and be surprised or something like that. That's basically it.
I'm pregnant. How?
Just like, yeah, all right. Hold on, I think we lost you for a second. You were cutting out. I can't hear you. Say something again.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Oh,
Your mic might have peaked. Your mic might have peaked.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Probably muted you.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting topic. I don't think men are jealous of women in any particular power role. And like you said, if they don't want my advice or my opinion, I'll keep it to myself. If they're in a power role, I'm good. Yeah, but like you said, those contingencies.
You get what you deserve.
No, I'm not, no, but it makes it look like we wish something goes wrong. But if everything goes right, that's fine. All exactly. Good. All right. So, but if it goes wrong, don't come looking.
I'm gonna give them the simplest thing. Lion King, remember when he's hanging off the ledge? He's like, Scar, help me, brother. And he's like, long live, he throws him off.
Right.
You get what you deserve.
Don't throw him off the ledge.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's gonna be for us. I hope y'all don't take that to heart. I just thought that was, a good analogy right there. Because you drowning. Help me.
But look, we encourage you, if you like the podcast, if you like it, say you like it. If you don't, say it as well. It doesn't matter. But we like to hear your opinions, put things in the comments and give us some feedback so that we can give you better content or probably address some issues or maybe you got something to add to the podcast that you thought about while you were listening. So we'd like to see that as well. What do you think, Tat?
No, that's perfectly fine. And we may be expanding to like Spotify and stuff like that here soon. So just be on the lookout for that down the pipeline. I'm still researching it. But that's it for us, everybody. And we're going to be out of here. Hope you all have a great week. See you next week. Later.
See you next week. Bye.